Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this really inspiring talk. I think everyone must have taken something for himself or herself to start with, if not everything, and something for inspiring, starting, and anything. Sir, I will just introduce my very uh, inspiring person, Sri Mukul Kanitkarji. He is associated with many university in India. I told you many times about Sri Mukul Kanitkarji. He is the next speaker in this faculty development program. And he is a joint organizing secretary of Bharati Shikshan Mandal. And this organization is dedicated to involve research, development, and various workshops related to this grassroots development.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought I will introduce you with
nice.
Shri Kanitkarji.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and he has also spoken in various workshops, seminar, and he conducts a seminar related to indigenous approaches, and he focuses on research based on the grassroots development, grassroots innovation, and he motivates researcher to work in the group and to work in for the social welfare, for economic welfare, and to take society forward for the development purpose. Thank you, sir. I think everyone has taken a good message from this lecture, and thank you, Sabir ji and Lamia for organizing this thing. Thanks a lot, sir. My pleasure, and your blessing is always there.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Now I will invite Shri Mukul Kanitkarji. He is a joint secretary of Bharati Shikshan Mandal, an organization dedicated to evolving indigenous model of education. He has conducted enormous workshop on personality development, research for national resurgence in IIT Delhi, IIT Roorkee, IIT Bombay, JNU, Delhi University, MS University, Baroda, and many more. He trained and motivated around 30,000 school students to perform mass Surya Namaskar at Gwalior in 2005 to create a world record that is in Guinness World Record. He did in 2005. He has written many books like Pariksha De Haste Haste, Bharat Jago, Vishwa Jago, and Shiksha Swadhyay, and he is very renowned and have a knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and he narrate Bhagavad Gita in a very simple manner. So I welcome Shri Mukul Kanitkarji to address this gathering. It's a faculty development program supported by AICT Atal. And now over to Mukulji.
Thank you, Nishaji. Before I start, I have two questions. Will Hindi do, or I have to speak in English? I have no problem with language, but I prefer in Hindi if everybody understands.
I think majority of the participants are from India, so we can enjoy the Hindi. I must say to the participant that after listening to Hindi, your love, after listening the Hindi deliberation of Mukulji, your love for Hindi will increase significantly.
Dhanyavad, Ashish.
Please write your preference in chat box if anyone doesn't understand Hindi.
My request is let them enjoy the wonderful Hindi which they are going to listen in the talk of Mukulji.
Okay.
Yeah, so someone has written both but not pure Hindi.
Let's mix it up.
Okay.
I will start with the Dheya Shloka of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal. तत्कर्मयन्न बंधाय सा विद्याया विमुक्तये आयासाया परम कर्म विद्यान्या शिल्प नैपुणम. कर्म वही है जो बंधन में न बांधे. Action is one which does not bind you. And education is one that liberates. विद्या वही है जो मुक्त करती है. All other actions are mere efforts. अन्य सभी कर्म केवल परिश्रम है और अन्य सभी विद्याएं केवल कारीगरी है. So this is what education is defined, and this is how education is understood for ages together in this part of the world. We have been proud to have world-renowned universities, and they were following the pedagogy and the methodology of education which was dedicated to these definitions. विद्या मुक्त करी. विद्या वह जो व्यक्ति को सभी प्रकार के बंधनों से मुक्त करे. अब फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम में यू आर ऑल पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन दैट, और उसमें आप शिक्षा के बारे में देख रहे हैं और वह भी प्रबंध की शिक्षा के बारे में, मैनेजमेंट एजुकेशन, एंड अगेन दैट अगेन क्वालिफाइड विद दिस सोशल बिजनेस और सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. इसलिए सामाजिक उद्यमिता को प्रबंधन करना और उसकी शिक्षा के बारे में बात करना. These are the, because we are all educators here, professors, assistant professors, and most of you deal with the education part. So this definition of education is very important for us to understand the beauty of what we are really doing. The beauty of education is even the English definition of education, not just the Vishnu Purana definition that I gave, Savidyaya Mukte, Vimukte. Even the English word education, if you go etymologically and if you go to the root of the word education, it means to come out, to bring out, in fact, to uncover. So educate means to uncover the knowledge that is already within the person. So Swami Vivekananda defined education as manifestation of perfection already within man. Hence, this beauty of being able to educate, being able to be part of that process of education is very lovely experience, very beautiful experience for all of us. Those who are commenting on language can chill down. I have started in English and I will continue in English. Those who don't understand Hindi need not be bothered. I just asked if everybody understood Hindi. I don't want to force Hindi on anybody. But somebody, one of the Kulapatis in one of the conferences said, it is better to speak in the language in which you dream. And that's when I started speaking in Hindi wherever possible. Wherever possible is the operating word. I have nothing against English and I can speak English generally, which people can understand. So I have no problem with speaking in English. I just wanted to ask the mixture of the audience, and because some of you are very passionate about language, I will continue in English, no problem. So let us not get...
Sir, please keep saying in Hindi and English both, because the way you have been talking in both the languages is really commendable.
It's all right.
I love it when you say that in Hindi also.
No problem.
Please.
So the point is, education is bringing out what is from within. We have just listened to a person who has changed the lives of millions of people, not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of people. And as Nishaji, while introducing the Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, said that he was quoted by Stephen Covey in his book, The Eighth Habit. In fact, that is the essence of education. That eighth habit is the essence of education. Bhagavad Gita talks about Swadharma. And Stephen Covey talks about knowing your own voice, inner voice. The thing for which you are passionate. The aim and objective, and more importantly, the purpose of human life, not in general, but specifically your own specific, unique purpose of life. Because each one of us is unique. No two human beings in this whole world, 7 billion population, but no two human beings are identical. No copies. In this world, there are no photocopies, no xeroxes. We are all original. We are unique. Hence, the education has to cater to the diversity. Somebody wrote that we considered a diversity of audience. The diversity is such a big diversity. The Sanskrit word is nanatva. It is not just diversity, it is not just vividhata. It is uniquely diverse. Each one is unique. So that kind of an infinite diversity a teacher has to deal with in his classroom. And in that, the teacher is supposed to educate, means to bring out the perfection, to uncover the knowledge that is already within. And that's why we need a very specific pedagogy which can address to this uniqueness generally. Now, that's the dilemma which every teacher has to face in the classroom when he gets into that. How to teach to such a diverse audience, how to communicate, how to talk to them, and how to go within and help them, facilitate them to bring out their inner voice, their passion, their purpose. They're the core of being. That is the essence of the word dharma. Dharma does not mean religion. Dharma is the core of being. What is one's core of being? That has to be brought out through education. Let it be science education, technology education, or humanities education, or management education. The purpose of education is same. The content may change, the syllabus may change, but the purpose of education is to bring out the inner core of the human personality with all its uniqueness in a general atmosphere where there is a common platform to speak to, but there are diverse audience that you have got, and such a diverse audience that no two are identical. That is what this Vidya Muktakari or Sa Vidyaya Vimuktaye adheres to. This is the liberation that we are talking about. This is the education that liberates that we are talking about. So human enterprise depends on human passion. Human enterprise depends on the unique purpose of life that each and everyone has. That is entrepreneurship. इसको उद्यमिता कहते हैं. उद्यम वह है जो हमारे अंदर के उस सत्व को, स्वधर्म को बाहर निकालेगा. That inner core has to express itself. It is dancing within your personality to come out, to express, to manifest, to create, to imagine, to create something new in a new form. That urge to act, that urge to act uniquely, that urge to act purposefully, that urge to act productively, that urge to act in a way in which it will make a difference. That is enterprise. That is entrepreneurship. That kind of action, when it is done in a proper constructive manner to have an effective ending, then it is enterprise. So entrepreneurship, can it be taught? Can it be put into somebody's brain from without? Or is it there already, right in the womb when you were conceived, and in the womb you started kicking your mother from within? That enterprise started. That entrepreneurship in every human being started even within the womb, even before he or she came out into this world. And from the first day, when you opened your eyes and cried out loudly for the world to listen to you, that was the first time you entered into an enterprise. You became an entrepreneur. You made the world listen to you. And that is how every human being is a creative being, is an active being. Not a second goes without action. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karmakrit. Not even a single movement goes without action. That's what Bhagavad Gita tells us. That's what is the real essence of life. To make that action purposeful, make that action productive and effective, to make that action into such an enterprise, to make that chain of action to go along in such a systematic way so as to create a desired effect is the purpose of enterprise. That is entrepreneurship. And the education of entrepreneurship is to manifest this inner urge to act, to create, to imagine. This inner urge has to be fashioned, has to be channelized, has to be groomed into the entrepreneurial human being. And that is the purpose of any education in the field of management, any management for that matter. Let it be industry management, let it be trade management, marketing management, finance management, human resource management, whatever you are managing, basically you have to fashion, design, channelize, groom that inner urge to act that every human being has. Hence, it is very, very important to know your inner voice, to know the purpose for which I have come, the purpose for which I have born. Whoever asks this basic question to oneself, he or she only is really a living being. That's why Swami Vivekananda Society has organized this program, is organized by Swami Vivekananda Society Management College. So Swami Vivekananda defined this. This is the real essence of human living, life. If you don't have that purpose, that unique purpose for which you are born, if you do not ask yourself that question, Swami Vivekananda says you are more dead than alive. Shava or Shiva ka farak. That's what the difference between Shava and Shiva. The dead body and the living Shiva. Shiva means one who lives for well-being of others, a benevolent personality, a personality who acts to contribute, to give to others. And when I say to others, they alone live who live for others, rest are more dead than alive, Swami Vivekananda said. Because there is no other way you can live. Your life is always an action towards somebody else. I always give this example. If somebody is a pickpocket, that is his profession. It's not a noble profession. It's not a legal profession. It is not a profession also. But that is what he does for achieving his livelihood. He cannot pick his own pocket. He cannot be selfish enough to pick his own pocket. He needs somebody else to pick the pocket. If you want to defraud somebody, if you want to cheat somebody, if you want to loot somebody, even for that you need somebody else. So no action can be unto your own self. You cannot be self-centered. You cannot be selfish. You try to be selfish all your life when you are born to be unselfish. That is the stress we are accumulating. That dilemma, that dichotomy in life, when your inner core, your personality, what you really are, wants to express and manifest itself for the good of others, you try to achieve some kind of profit out of that and try to be selfish. So that is the whole dilemma what Professor Yunus was talking about. We are getting into a hell. Why we are getting into hell? Because we are trying to create a selfish world out of people who are basically striving to be unselfish, striving to contribute, striving to do something for others. Hence, entrepreneurship, any kind of entrepreneurship is for others. And when it is for others, then it is that entrepreneurship is social entrepreneurship. Why? Because it is for others, then it is for society. Hence, management of social entrepreneurship is management of the inner urge within me and others to express, to manifest myself into creative, productive, purposeful actions which will contribute to the well-being of at least some people, if possible, many people. Like Bhagavan Buddha said, Bahujana hitaya, Bahujana sukhaya, good for many, for the good of many. And the Vedic rishis went ahead and said, Sarve bhavantu sukhina, not just Bahujana hitaya, but for the good of all, for Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Hence the COVID vaccine, which is Bharat-made vaccine, which is made in Bharat, has on its Sarve Santu Niramaya as its logo. Let all be healthy in the world. We are sending this vaccine to the whole world with a prayer that let all be Niramaya. Niramaya means without any disease. Niha Amaya, without any disease, without any imbalance. That is the purpose of life. And the education is to facilitate, to make people understand that purpose of life, what is their inner voice, what they will get perfect satisfaction and the passion by fulfilling which they will be fulfilled and they will blossom out, they will express themselves completely. All their faculties will blossom. This is a faculty development program. Faculty is not teacher. Faculty, the word faculty is for the indriyas, for the senses, for your capacity of your body, different capacities, capacity to perceive, that is jnanendriya, the sense of perception, sense organs which perceive, and the second is karmendriya, the organs that act, and the coordination between the two, which is done by the mana, that is the mind. All these together are faculty. And when we want to develop our faculty, when we want to enhance our faculty, we have to enhance our concentration, because if we don't concentrate, we cannot listen. We will hear but not listen. Hearing is noise, listening is understanding. Instead of noise, if you want to understand, grasp, perceive through your karnendriya, through your sense of hearing, if you want to really listen, the mind has to be attuned, aligned with your hearing apparatus. And that is called as concentration. When I see, if my mind is concentrating in my sense of seeing, then my seeing is so purposeful. That is faculty development really means. So what in today's world we really mean by social enterprise or social entrepreneurship, and how to manage that? This social entrepreneurship in today's context has been limited to an enterprise which will involve society, which will involve many people, which will be good for those deprived people, underprivileged people. But no, that's not really how I look at it. You see the Lijjat Papad model, or you see the Amul model. It is not just for the deprived people, it is for the common people. And when common people, you involve them in an enterprise, in a productive enterprise in which they will get a satisfaction of contribution, and at the same time they will get something more for their livelihood. That is the well-being, which is called as, in Sanskrit, the name is prosperity, is defined in Sanskrit as samriddhi. The word samriddhi is prosperity. It is so deeper than just wealth. It is so deeper than just being prosperous. Samriddhi is samyak vriddhi. The growth has to be balanced. If the growth is not balanced, if it is lopsided, then there will be this gap between the poor and the rich, what Professor Yunus was referring to. A few people having a lot of wealth and many people are deprived of that, one kind of exploitation which goes on. Another thing is, you are exploiting the environment, you are exploiting the nature to become rich. The third thing is you are selling your culture, you are selling your emotions, you are selling your social contacts, you are selling your social being to become rich. And then social security has to be taken away by the government. Today, the biggest country in the world which has got largest GDP, we don't know whether that is the right parameter to fathom or to measure the development of human development of society. But today we have that parameter. We'll have to change that parameter. I have written a paper called GNC, Gross National Contribution. Nations should be judged on the contribution that they do, not on what they get from the whole world. Today, US has got $21 trillion GDP, but the US with $21 trillion GDP has got $28 trillion debt. The debt is 128% of the GDP. The national debt of US is 128% of the GDP. Why? Because the federal government in US has to spend almost 40%, more than 38% of its budget, federal budget, on social security to feed those who are unemployed, to feed the senior citizens. Why? Because for last 75 years or even more, almost a century, America has become richer in GDP with $21 trillion economy by selling out their families. The families are broken. Families were sold. Social norms were sold. Society was broken by selling the culture and the society if you become rich. By selling the nature and the environment if you become rich. That is not samriddhi. That is not balanced prosperity. That is not balanced growth. So all the enterprises, all kinds of any industry, anything that puts in human effort should be managed in such a way that it does good to everybody, to more people than what harm it does. Contribution of the industry, contribution of the company, contribution of the corporate, contribution of the individual, contribution of the family, contribution of the community should be the parameter on which they should be judged. And if that becomes the global parameter of development, then each industry, each enterprise, all kinds of trading, all kinds of marketing will become social enterprise, will become a social entrepreneurship. Why? Because the basic concern behind running. Today in the total quality management, they ask you to write the mission statement and the vision of your whatever enterprise you are doing, whether you are running a factory or whether you are running a company with trading or whether you are running an educational institute, you should write vision and mission, and it should be properly displayed everywhere so that everybody working in that enterprise, working in that company should know what is the vision and what is the mission. If somebody is producing liquor, somebody like Malya, the Universal Breweries, what will they have as a vision? What will they have as a mission? Can they have that we want to make the whole world drunkard? Can that be a mission? No. They will have to define their mission in a noble way. Everybody, whatever they are producing, even if they are producing toxic contents like lead and batteries that are contaminating the planet, even those industry, if they want to write their vision and mission, they will have to write it in a benevolent way, in something noble, something doing good to others, because that is what is being humane. With E at the end, humane. If every human being wants to be humane, it has to contribute. Even today in this selfish world of capitalism, you have to contribute to others to be called humane. At least you have to create a facade in which you will look humane. Why can't we create an education, create a system of education through which our students will get to know how this can be done profitably? That is what we did in this country for thousands of years. Angus Maddison, in his History of the World, Millennial Perspective, Economic History of the World, writes, for 1500 years, this country was distributing wealth to the world with this concept of dharma, that is sustaining everybody together, looking at the good of others, creating your enterprise, creating all your trading, marketing, your productive activity, everything in such a way that it will benefit the society. So we have to encourage our students to look within and understand their own voice, and to go out and work out that voice, work on that real inner core of their own self. That is what is called as Swadharma. To express that Swadharma in the Swakarma, in their action, their own action, in their own unique way, to become entrepreneurs, to do the action in a chain and in a systematic way, to be more purposeful, more productive, making many lives more livable, more satisfied, contributing to as many lives as you can. That I define as social enterprise. That I define as social entrepreneurship. I thank all of you to have listened to me so peacefully. And I thank Nishaji for giving me this opportunity, firstly, to listen to the great Nobel laureate and the great person who has contributed and changed the lives of many, which I consider an ideal. In the modern economic terms, he has created a system which can help others. That's the beauty of his system. He did not change the rules of the game, but he played within the rules of the game, and yet became a champion with a different kind of game. Thank you, Nishaji, for introducing and having an opportunity to listen to him. And again, thank you, all of you, for giving me opportunity to give to loudly think with you and loudly brood over and contemplate over these ideas of social enterprise and how the faculty development should create new theories in social enterprise that will benefit the whole world. Thank you.
May I invite few questions?
I have no problem.
If you have anyone, if you have any question, so you can write or you can ask.
Sir, namaste. This is Dr. Ishwar Mittal.
Doctor, you're not
Dr. Mittal,
audible.
little louder, please.
This is Dr. Ishwar Mittal from Maharshi Dhyan University, Rohtak, Haryana. Sir, please tell something about the cause Research for Resurgence, about your organization.
Okay, thank you. Research for Resurgence was created 4 years back. In fact, when during our work in Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, we are visiting many universities and conducting some workshops with the research scholars and the research guides. And in that, we came to know that the number of and the quantity of research work is going on in this country. More than 30,000 PhDs are being awarded every year, 33,000 to be precise last year. So 33,000 people doing research and getting PhD. But as we all in the field of education understand, and this was the common complaint from everybody, that most of these researches are not very useful, not very purposeful. Many of the research scholars and the research guides said the person doing the research does not read his own PhD thesis after he has submitted it. Whether it is useful for the society or not, whether it is useful for the industry or not, whether it is contributing to something. Somebody has put in a lot of efforts in doing the research, but we are not very satisfied with the state. In Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, we do not believe in talking about problems only. We take problems as challenges and convert them into opportunity and come out with some kind of solution, not depending on the government for the policy changes. So we said, let us try to change this. And then we analyzed with all you people discussing why this pathetic condition of research in the academic world in this country. When we have more than 1,000 universities all over the country, why our research cannot contribute to problem solving of the society, problem solving of the industry, making everybody prosper, why it is not resulting into Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. And then we came to know that the purpose of research has shrinked to just career advancement. We are doing research and writing papers because the UGC asks us, because the API marks are dependent on that. When the purpose is shrink to this personal level, as I said, our inner core wants to be unselfish and we are trying to become selfish. Even in the field of research, when we are trying to contract our purpose, We said that is the reason why the quality of research is not of the international standard or not of the standard of our own Nalanda, Takshashila and our own ancestors, Jnana Bhumi, this knowledge, land of knowledge. So we said how to solve this. We said change the purpose. And then we created this workshop called Research for Resurgence. The purpose of my research will be for the resurgence of the society, for the resurgence of the nation, for the resurgence of the community, for the well-being of the humanity, for contributing to something. And when we started this movement, we got very good response. Today, it has been converted into a trust, and it has MOU with more than 90 universities all over the country. We conduct research methodology workshops. Unique kinds of research methodology workshops are conducted. We contribute into creating the research areas which are the need of the today. Today, we have prepared a list of more than 500 such topics on which the research needs to be done. We do synergic research with many institutes. We are in the process of starting mission mode projects, in which one project 100 universities will participate and work for a solution of some problem of the country, like that. This is the research for resurgence that we do. I would like to inform all of you, those who are interested in doing some very good research methodology workshop. We have one such scheduled from 13th to 16th February, a full day workshop, 10 to 9:30 to 6 in the evening, all 4 days. And it is called as Tapas, PRM. PRM is for Purposeful Research Methodology. Tapas is the Bharatiya way of talking about research, the rigor that is needed. It will be conducted by Research for Resurgence Foundation in collaboration with IIT Guwahati. The certificate will have IIT Guwahati and RFRA, both the names. So certificate in research methodology you will get. It is the charge will be there and things like that. You can visit our website rfrfoundation.org to know more about this. Maybe today it is not there. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you'll get the registration link and you can register. Thank you. There are many things I can talk about research for research, but this is in the nutshell.
So Professor Mukul, can I?
Any other question? Any other question?
Yeah,
Excuse me, ma'am. May I ask, ma'am? Hello,
Yeah,
Nisha,
yeah,
ma'am.
yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You can
may I
switch
ask
on.
one
You can
question?
switch on your video.
Okay. Okay. Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, very much loud and clear. Please speak.
Okay. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, myself, Kaushambi Chaudhary, AP, Department of Management, Asansol Engineering College. Sir, I just wanted to ask that I have already written it in the chat box also, that can we apply the social entrepreneurship concept somehow with the industrial parks concept or something like that to render an array of benefits to the beneficiaries and all those things? Is it possible somehow or the other?
That is one way they have been trying for last, say, 3-4 decades. But I don't think it has been a very successful story. The industry park or the ACZ concept that was brought out, the IT parks and all that. Neither economically, financially, nor socially, it has been very successful. The successful model has been something like Amul. I won't call it cooperative, because again, cooperative have become very politicized. So it is really a collective entrepreneurship, a collective enterprise. When people come together with what beautifully our Muhammad Yunus sir said, the microfinance and the micro activity coming together to make it a mega activity. That kind of entrepreneurship park will be more useful rather than industry park in which large investments come together but benefit very few. That is what has happened, and that's why many of our industry parks in this country have become deserted now, because it was for first 5 years they gave tax benefits and all that, and those people, investors, use those tax benefits, and then when real work was to be done, most of them flew away. So rather than industry parks, let us talk about the rural sector and the clusters of entrepreneurial clusters of communities, community clusters working, like something like the Tirupur model. If you study the Tirupur model near Coimbatore, where the hosiery business is there, hosiery manufacturing. That is a community driven, something like that. So then Ramgarhia Lohars, if you go to Ludhiana or that part of even Amritsar, that part of Punjab, you see the Lohar community, that whole community coming together and forming an industrial cluster of their own. Most of them are related to each other, and they have created a world record that manufacturing and export business in machinery, very intricate machinery. They are very good. These Ramgarhia Lohars are very good in reverse engineering, and that kind of one of our friend who takes classes in Ashish Pandey's department, Kanak Sabapati ji, he has written a book on that. This social enterprise in a form of community clusters. He has enlisted more than 1,200 such community clusters all over the country. So if we promote these rural clusters with the uniqueness of that area, like bamboo in the Melghat area of Maharashtra, or the cane work that happens in the Northeast, or the weaving, beautiful weaving. This scarf that I'm wearing is from the Bodo area of Assam. So using those kind of traditional